Oklahoma Newsroom. You're watching the Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell, and we are brought to you by Papa John's Pizza. Go online anytime and order your pizza at papajohns.com. Barry, it's not we pick 'em, it's true false, which is sort of a we pick 'em, but let's get to it with this one. Let's start with the Wizards. The Wizards' strong playoff performance enhances their bid to entice Kevin Durant to come home next summer. True or false?
Well, I think it's true. I don't think Kevin Durant's going to Washington. I think he's going to stay with the Thunder. However, Washington has never been a strong basketball organization, and the idea that Durant would go sign with the Wizards has frankly been a little silly because it's been not just an unsuccessful franchise, but sort of a haphazard franchise. But the Wizards have made a lot of inroads. They're playing better. They've had a great sweep of Toronto, 2-2 with Atlanta as we tape this. So Washington's showing signs of getting its act together, and I think that's going to make a stronger case to lure Kevin Durant. I still don't think they'll get him. I think Durant will stay here. If not, I think there's some other franchises that would be above Washington. But clearly the Wizards are improving their bid.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. You know, and here the Wizards are at 2-2 with Atlanta with John Wall sitting out. I mean, who would have thought that they'd be able to hang with Atlanta, you know, best team in the league, best team in the East for sure during the regular season without John Wall with that wrist fracture. And now there's talk maybe he returns at some point. So clearly the Wizards are playing fantastic basketball, but I don't know if that changes anything about their overall move they could make to get Kevin Durant. I tell you, the thing about Kevin Durant and the Thunder is that he's spent his entire career in one of the best-run franchises in the NBA. Say what you will about results, individual maybe instances, but this is a franchise that anytime a new guy comes in, Barry, we hear it time and again, first-class franchise, first-class franchise. And you press a little bit, and it's really small things that add up to a lot. It's everything from nutrition to how the guys are handled around the practice facility. This is a franchise that makes its players feel very loved, very central to what's going on. There's not a ton of franchises out there, as I think guys that come in from other ones will tell Kevin Durant and anybody else who wants to listen. Not many franchises like that. That's going to be a big deal, I think, to Kevin Durant. All right, back to true false, Barry. Scott Brooks, Monty Williams, maybe Tom Thibodeau, are even successful NBA coaches more vulnerable than ever?
I want to say false. I think it's always been a little bit like this. I mean, you've seen NBA champion coaches get fired. You've seen coaches get fired after very, very solid years. That's happened throughout NBA history. So I don't think so, but it has happened. We have seen it with a sort of a rush of people. Brooks, Monty Williams, Thibodeau may be on the way out. Mark Jackson was last season after really turning around the Warriors. David Blatt's actually coached the Cavaliers to great success this year. He may get fired. So it's a rash of it we're seeing right now, but I think it's always been with us. That's not, you know, Doug Collins and the Bulls won a bunch when they fired Doug Collins. The Lakers changed coaches in the 80s a couple of times, even though they were winning big. So I think it's always been with us.
Yeah, I think so too. I would say that they're not more vulnerable. I'd say that's false. But, you know, it is interesting because you think about a guy like David Blatt. Here he is in Cleveland, clearly having some struggles, even in these conference semifinals. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if these guys would even win the NBA championship. I could see the Cavs winning the NBA championship and firing David Blatt. I mean, why is that out of the realm of possibility? I could see him making a coaching change midstream in the playoffs. I mean, there's been that sort of craziness going on. But clearly it's about relationships with the players and relationships with the front office. And I think really good teams, I think a lot of times the front office says, well, this is a fantastic group of players that we've got. We can find somebody to coach these guys. And sometimes they're less likely to say, wait a second, we've got to keep the coaching staff intact. They'll say, you know what, these guys can handle a coaching change. We can find somebody who can coach them better. So I think sometimes having a good team is almost an open door to say, let's go see if we can find somebody else who maybe can do it a little bit better with these guys. All right, true, false, this one, Barry. True, false, the Cavs-Bulls series is the real Eastern Conference final.
I think that's completely true. I think Cavaliers are going to take care of Chicago now with a 3-2 lead. But whoever comes out of here, I think is going to beat the Wizards or the Hawks. For whatever reason, the way the Eastern bracket worked out, this is the showdown. This is the two best teams in the East. Atlanta's the #1 seed, but really hasn't played well since January. They just played so fantastic in December and January. They got the #1 seed. The two best teams, though, by a wide margin, Cleveland and Chicago.
Yeah, I would say true on this one as well. And, you know, maybe the Hawks can recapture something. You know, I think I've even mentioned this before as we've talked about the playoffs. You know, a year ago, the Spurs in the first round against the Mavs didn't play great. You know, they were taken to 7 games by the Mavs. Finally withstood them, won, got out of there, and then just started steamrolling people. So who knows? Maybe a team can turn it on. Maybe they can get going. But we haven't seen any signs of that yet from Atlanta, and clearly they've had a chance to do that because with John Wall sitting out for the Wizards, there's every opportunity to get going. They haven't done it, but yeah, I think the Cavs and the Bulls, man, they're playing some fun basketball. Wouldn't be surprised to see whoever wins that series go all the way to the finals. All right, Barry, another true-false. The Warriors-Grizzlies is the real Western Conference Finals.
This one is false. I think the Golden State-Memphis winner is in good shape. But the Clippers are a load, and I think Clippers-Warriors would be a fantastic series. Frankly, Clippers-Grizzlies would be a great series. We've seen that twice in recent years in the playoffs. So I think the Clippers remain a threat in the West. I like whoever comes out of Memphis, L.A., but I would not, Memphis, Golden State, but I would not write off the Clippers. I think they're still a threat.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that it's an interesting, if you think about Warriors, Clippers, Grizzlies, Clippers, both are very interesting dynamics. But I do like the winner of the Warriors Grizzlies series to make the finals. I think that that's, whoever wins that, I'll probably pick them to go on to the finals. But I don't think it's going to be an easy series by any stretch of the imagination because, first of all, they're going to have played each other for a ton of games. Hard-fought series. I mean, the Thunder knows this well. People around here know it well. After that, a series against the Grizzlies, you're just ready to, go to Tahiti for a while and take a break. But it's not going to happen. If the Grizzlies survive, they're going to have to keep going. Same for the Wizards. That's going to be tough. But I think one of those teams makes the finals. All right, lastly, Barry, true, false. Blake Griffin has been the best player in these NBA playoffs.
I'm going to say false. LeBron James is the best player in these playoffs. It's the same way he was the most valuable player in this NBA series. I don't know why people keep bringing this up. I'm actually the one that wrote this question, so blame me. But I love Blake. I love what he's doing. He's been phenomenal. But he's shown that he's one of the 5-6 best players in the NBA. However, LeBron James remains king.
Yeah, I would say it's also false. But I tell you what, here's what's interesting about Blake, and I think we sort of saw this last year with Russell Westbrook in the playoffs. A guy that's already one of the best players in the world goes into the playoffs and starts doing things that elevate his game even higher. To me, that's the sign of a player that is really, really elite to the top echelon of where we're talking about basketball players. Because as we all know, in the playoffs, it's not just the highest stakes, but it's also game after game after game against the same team that can figure out your tendencies, can figure out what you want to do, and they can try to guard against it. And yet here we see Blake Griffin continuing to elevate, continuing to put up the numbers. That, to me, is a sign of a player that's going to take it to another level, that has taken it to another level. So kudos to Blake for that. And, here he is, our local tie in these NBA playoffs since we don't have the Thunder. So it's been fun to watch him do that in these playoffs. Hey, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.